Hello, welcome back to the channel, and today's video is one on the Apple Watch Ultra. Now, as a biker channel, I am going to start with the watch in relations to on the motorcycle, and then afterwards my general feels, etc. for Apple Watch in general, and of course the new Ultra. So where to begin? We will begin with the increased size. So the Apple Watch Ultra has a bit more bulk to it than a regular Apple Watch. With regards to weight and how it feels on the wrist, it actually feels lighter and doesn't annoy me as much as the old Apple Watch did. But I was concerned about this extra height when it comes to wearing jackets and gloves. So here is a little real world test. I have had the watch now for a couple of months, been riding with it, no issues. Underneath the jacket, it catches the same as the old watch would, but once obviously you cinch down your cuffs and you put your gloves either over or under, then it locks in position and it doesn't really move around anymore. So the real world underneath the jacket, the extra bulk, not a blind bit of difference in my testing of it. But one good thing is the new positioning on the buttons. With them being easier to get with gloved hands, great, but with it being here, you can't accidentally enable the SOS, which has actually happened to me on my original Apple Watch. So always disable that anyway, the press and hold button to enable SOS. Disable that in the settings, you will thank me later. But the actual new positioning of the buttons with gloves doesn't trigger, the SOS. So we'll move on to gloves and the extra bulk. So we're going to start with, say, a Revit winter glove here. So this is like a H2O. And when you pull it up and over the watch, it doesn't create an issue at all. So all these short cuff up and overs are absolutely fine. But if I take a Knox with its BOA system, the BOA sits just on top of the watch and cinches down, making the watch come a bit tighter. I've had no issue with the Knox Android pods. That said though, on the side with the Orsa 3, it's just in the wrong position, but no real issue, perfectly good to ride with. And of course, no issues with a full gauntlet, because a full gauntlet's going to go all the way over, and just no issue whatsoever there. If you ride a normal style gauntlet, again, you've got no issue with that, because once you pull over the gauntlet over the top, obviously it's adding a little bit there. So if you've got a very tight jacket and a very tight gauntlet glove, then you've got to make your own decision there. But with the clothes I'm wearing, there's just been no issue with the extra size and on the bike. So that's really it for Apple Watch with biking. So what are my views with the Apple Watch Ultra going from a Apple Watch Series 4? So my Series 4 is about 4 generations old now. The Series 8 has just come out. And I can say I absolutely love the Ultra. The jump from the 4 to the 8, tech-wise, not that massive. I mean, you got blood oxygen. I still had an ECG on the old. The software isn't twice as quick. It's certainly a little bit quicker, noticeably, but you're talking a second or two, not like, the generation 0, the original Apple Watch, to when I had it, to the generation 3, where, you click in to run a workout app and you're waiting, whereas you see here, that's already in. I'd still be waiting on the Gen 0. But the always on screen, that is a real good thing, especially for me, when I'm in a meeting and I want to glance down and see what the time is, without having to pull your watch up like that to activate the screen or tap it. So that's really good. The increased battery life. Now, I was somebody who would always put my phone on charge when I go to bed, and then it will be charged in the morning. But I've got into the new sleep tracking side of things with this watch. So what I do is I sleep with it on, and in the mornings when I'm getting ready for work in the morning, I'll put it on side on charge for half an hour, and that gives me a full charge with no issues there. But I'm able to sleep all night, get all the stats from sleep tracking. If you're curious, I get 5% REM, which I'm slightly concerned about and looking into why I'm not getting a good night's sleep. But it explains why I'm always knackered. All the health features are pretty much the same apart from the addition of temperature sensors for ladies and their menstrual cycling. There is on the Series A and Ultra crash protection. Now that, as I said earlier, you're not mistakenly enabling with these nice buttons the dial emergency services, but obviously if you've got in a crash, that is pretty handy, you know, that it's going to alert your loved ones, especially on a motorbike. The durability. Now, I had scratches throughout my Series 4 where, you know, I'm constantly opening a door and banging it into the wall and things like that. I have again done the same with this watch, opened it, smashed it straight on quite hard into something like a knob on the door or the side of a wall, you know, accidentally gone in somewhere and scraped my arm up a wall, got paint over it where there was wet paint and stuff at work, and it has been absolutely fine. Not a single scratch. It is really very durable. I do love this flat screen that is on there. Some people are complaining about the tactile nature of that. I actually prefer it, really like it. And I really love the new Apple face. I do wish, but the old circular face, everything's a little bit bigger. And when you move into the new style face, it's a little bit smaller. I would prefer it use a bit more of the real estate, like maybe, you know, the gaps in between here, but this is so when you touch it, you can get your longitude, latitude for orienteering. But that would be nice if it could be just as large, if there was a bit of a blend between the two faces there. But I do love the new face. I love the feature of being able to use the back steps, you know, when you're parking in a field somewhere, going to an event. It's great to be able to find your car that way when signal's not very great. So what do I do exercise-wise? Am I the 1% that this watch was made for? No. I go to the gym 3 times a week, an hour each session, just lift weights, although, you know, you wouldn't really see it. Don't do massive cardio, don't do marathons, not a major runner. Ride motorbikes, obviously, but that's about it. I occasionally do rock climbing, but what it does on the fitness side is absolutely brilliant. The Alpine loop strap I have gone back to. I've got the blue midnight, I think they call it, Submariner band, which is probably a little bit more comfortable, but I don't know, I just kept going back to this Alpine loop band. It stands out a little bit more. And of course, you know, you've spent the money on an Apple Watch Ultra. You want to show people that you've got one as well, and what clearer way than the orange band. Alpine strap is the one I keep going back to. It's very comfortable. I'm sort of in between notches. So when I go to the gym, I do it up one more so it's tight and it won't move. And then during the day, I take it down one so I've got a little bit of free movement. But there is one disappointment with it in that the strap itself, you can't really see it here on camera, but it does get dirty quite quickly. You know, with wearing clothes where the black will rub off onto here. I foolishly cleaned my motorbike chain while wearing it and I got splatters of chain oil over the strap, and I had to basically just soak it in the water and use washing powder to clean it up. So it's a bit of a dirt magnet. So if you're somebody who's a mechanic or something like that, you're going to completely total this strap really quickly. So you will be better off going with Diver's version of the strap rather than the fabric Alpine loop or the trail runner, whichever one they call it. Overall, am I happy? I am over the moon. I love this watch. Really happy with it. I mean, I don't change my watch every year, so yes, it's a big investment. If I wasn't going to go with this watch, I was going to upgrade to the 7. I don't really see a lot of difference between the 7 and 8 at the time of recording. So for me, yes, £850 is a lot of money for a Apple Watch, but since owning it, I don't see many other people having it. So it is nice to know that, you know, you've got something a bit unique, whereas everybody else all has an Apple Watch. It feels light, it feels comfortable, same as the old watch. The software, same as the old watch. It's the increased battery life, it's the increased durability. They're the reason you're going to go to this. And if it's in your price point, why not? As always, I hope that review was useful for anybody out there just wanting somebody else's opinion who's sitting on the fence with a Apple Watch Ultra. And if you do ride a motorbike, then this would have been quite handy for you. Thanks as always for watching. A like and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Thanks again.